So I was able to watch Orion in the Dark, a new Netflix and DreamWorks original film. And for this review, I'm going to do things a little bit differently. I'm not going to separate things into what I liked, what I didn't like. I'm just going to talk to the camera about the film and why you guys should watch it. Now, I want to put this movie on your guys' radar because when I look on Letterboxd, not a whole lot of people have reviewed this movie. Same thing with Rotten Tomatoes. I think only like 47 critics in total reviewed it. So, I want to put this movie on your radar. When it came to Orion in the Dark, this is basically made. It's a Netflix original, but is with the help of DreamWorks. So, it's not fully a DreamWorks film, but also at the same time, it kind of is. It just wasn't released in theaters. And comparing this DreamWorks film to other DreamWorks films, I feel like that this movie is better than anything that came out in 2023 in the US, because I know Puss in Boots: The Last Wish released later in the UK in 2023, but in the US, the DreamWorks movies that came out in 2023, Orion in the Dark is better than any of those movies. It's better than Ruby Gillman and Trolls 3. Which, it's not a big comparison because those movies are not huge on their own. But this type of DreamWorks, I'm surprised that this movie was released to streaming. Because I feel like if you change a little bit of things up in this movie, you could have released it in theaters. Because it does kind of have that streaming vibe to it, just a little bit. But overall, it does feel like a movie that could have been released in theaters. Now, when comparing this to DreamWorks like I was doing, it's not Puss in Boots tier. Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. It's not that tier. It's not Kung Fu Panda. It's not How to Train Your Dragon tier of DreamWorks. It's just a standard DreamWorks film that's entertaining. It's not the worst movies. It's a little past middle tier of DreamWorks. But I do think Orion in the Dark is worth checking out and is a good DreamWorks film. A lesson in this movie about dark and like acceptance kind of having, I don't really want to say anything else, but kind of like that kind of lesson and story going on here. And like conquer your fears at the same time kind of story. I was all in for that story. And I also like the night elements they have in here. That's all I'm gonna say. But it's not just the dark as a character. There's also other characters in here that I really love what they did in like the whole sequence explaining that. I found it hilarious of what they were doing there. That's all I'm gonna say, because yeah, there's different elements in this movie. That's all I'm gonna say, and I love what they did there. Now, when it comes to my problems, I do have a couple that didn't really bother me. It could bother some of you guys though, but it did bother me at first, but it kind of changed as the story went on. So, for starters here, when they had like this narrative story going on throughout the movie, there's like a different narrative story. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see this movie, but there's kind of like this narrative story following the main story as well. You'll know what I'm talking about when you see it, but there's that kind of thing going on, and at first I didn't like what they were doing there because I felt like it kind of interrupted the story. But by the end, in my opinion, I really liked how everything closed off, and I feel like it made everything work in a hilarious way, and I kind of liked how they wrapped everything up with that. Now, a lot of people are not going to like that because it kind of gets too over the top there. That doesn't make sense by the later half of the film, but I really liked how they wrapped that all up. It's not the best way, in my opinion. I think you could have just taken that plot point out, but I really like what they did with that other part of the story, kind of, and it was just a hilarious way to tell this other story as well. But also at the same time, I have a feeling a lot of people are not going to like how this movie kind of wraps up with that side. Like with the main story with Dark and stuff, I feel like that's fine. But like the other narrative story kind of, I feel like gets too weird by the end of it. But all in all, Orion and the Dark, definitely. You guys need to watch this movie. I made this like video just to tell you guys that this movie was out, just for you guys to watch it. I feel like this movie's not getting a lot of love for what it is, and I feel like a lot of people should watch this movie. Because in my opinion, it's better than any DreamWorks movie that came out last year, in the US at least. And I feel like this is an enjoyable movie, you know? It's not the best. It's an enjoyable movie. It's not the best just because of, like, some plot points in here. There's streaming-ish to it that I feel like you could have fixed a little stuff in here and make it a theater release. It does have those... It kind of has a streaming feel, but overall I feel like it more has a theater feel to it. And yeah, I highly recommend watching this movie with, like, as a family or something. The message in here and just everything to follow that, I feel like can appeal to everyone. And definitely check out Orion in the Dark on Netflix. I give Orion in the Dark a 7.5 out of 10. Definitely check this out. But anyways, that was my review on Orion in the Dark. Thank you guys for watching. Make sure you guys like and subscribe. Comment down below your thoughts. Follow my Letterboxd Color Movies. And I'll see you guys all next time. Goodbye.